they stopped being a rock band in a way and became kind of a social, I don't know, a social force or something, you know? I mean, the least of it is the music. They're real power, and what they really are about is just kind of messing with the structure.
A cult of rage is growing in one New York neighborhood, a dangerous counterculture movement led by people who promote violence and destruction of society.
Their rage exploded in public on the 7th of August during the riot in Tomkins Square Park. And Channel 2 News has now learned that much more was going on than tempers flaring on a hot summer's night. Tonight, correspondent Mike Taibbi begins an exclusive series of reports looking at who these people are and what they want.
What you're looking at and listening to is not music. It's something new, something called combat art.
Your house is mine. Your house is mine. 1933 equals 1988. This is Germany.
At the end of each performance, there is combat. Bottles and other bits of metal and glass fly into the audience and are hurled back to the stage. The performers spit into the crowd, curse and threaten their audience. They hurl their instruments, even heavy cast iron mic stands, and often as not, what's thrown out comes right back at them. They jump off the stage to fly a booted kick at an unsuspecting groin. This enraged, delirious celebration of violence goes beyond anything envisioned by the slam dancers of the Sex Pistols era of the 70s. And in case anybody's in danger of missing the point, the leader of the group sets himself on fire, genuinely courting injury or death.
Okay, in the Mike Taibbi report, they called it combat art. Okay, I believe you have to destroy to create. I have this concept. Einstein's and Neubauten also agrees with this. You do have to destroy to create, to come up with something original. And the new generation, okay, they're kind of boring. They only know how to copy like a bunch of monkeys. A good example is the DJ. He doesn't make any of the music. They pay him to the max, and he's a complete scam, ripoff. And that's what New York is bent on. They're bent on scam artists. I'm not a scam artist. I'm somebody who actually really makes music and art for what it is and for what it stands for, and not for money, and not for any commercial reasons, and not to get over on anybody.
The group is called Missing Foundation, and it is not idle fancy or mere speculation to suggest a link between Missing Foundation and the violence that exploded here at Tomkins Square Park last August. The New York Police Department and the FBI have been searching for the roots and the details of that link. We found them. The hints have been proliferating like a random virus all over the Lower East Side. It began 3 years ago when Missing Foundation first came together with the appearance of this symbol. The upside-down champagne glass means the party's over. 1933 stands for the rise of the National Socialists in Germany, the Nazis. MF, 1933, the party's over. By this summer, the symbolism was everywhere and spreading fast, reaching as far north as 5th Avenue at 20th Street, as far south as the abandoned band shell in East River Park, and everywhere you looked, on cars, filling every available patch of wall or brick in Alphabet City.
That logo was invented by me, and it's 777 written at the bottom, XXX is written at the bottom of that logo. The pyramid from Egypt is in the middle of it, and anything that you invert and take up and flip it upside down already has power in itself.
Then this summer, this professionally produced poster began appearing. Missing Foundation announced a credo. We are not going to act civilized in this blank city. Landlords, yuppies, the police were identified as the enemies. Missing Foundation, or others in the name of Missing Foundation, advocated attacks against them all.
In 1988, we put out a poster called Missing Foundation 1933 with a photo of an anti-fascist artist from the Nazi regime called John Hartfield. His name, the name of the artwork was called Justicia, and it was a blindfolded justice, and it said, "We will not act civilized in this fucking city." Okay, at that point in time, when I put that poster out, it was not even a civilized place to live anyway. Once again, it's another mirror thing. okay, how can I act civilized when I'm treated like crap by every turn I take? I'm completely surrounded by corrupt people. Once you're surrounded by corrupt people, you're not going to act normal. You're gonna rob a store. If you're really hungry, you're going to do something stupid.
And through the summer, almost no one knew who the members of Missing Foundation were. They gave phony names or none at all. Their performances, some of which we have on a home video we obtained, were impromptu, unannounced, rarely in established venues. But word spread of their affection for violence and their eagerness to fly over the edge, all in the name of a stark and familiar credo on the Lower East Side. Your house is mine, eat the rich, die yuppie scum. According to writer R.J. Smith, the first journalist to have so much as a barstool conversation with a couple of members of Missing Foundation, the group is not about violence, but about destruction much bigger than that. Inside agitators, Smith wrote, they seek to trigger chaos, and in their inaccessible mystery, they've obtained enormous thematic power.
I can't think of anybody out there who does anything like this, and yet you don't know who they are. No one knows how many people are in Missing Foundation, or where they live, or what they all look like.
Nobody knew who we were in Missing Foundation because they didn't do their detective work. I did 1,000 concerts in New York. I'd say they wrote about 20 or 30 of them, not even. Basically, a lot of our shows were half empty or empty because they were advertised with spray paint. They were guerrilla gigs. They were unadvertised gigs. They were word of mouth. And so a lot of people never really got to see the band, and a lot of it got swept into mystery. Well, who are these people? What do they want? You know, I just wanted to live a decent life.
In their home video, Missing Foundation members play with fire constantly. They bash each other in scenes of degradation and filth. They trigger pitched battles that inevitably end in violence, injury, destruction. It's a trick, but it's legitimate. Play Missing Foundation's performances alongside the Tomkins Square Park riot footage, and the action differs in scale, but is strikingly similar. The fires everywhere, the random destruction, the bottles and other things hurled into the crowd of whoever is looking on.
I think it's ludicrous to put Missing Foundation in such a movie like Cultivate and say that we're responsible for the riot, when you have like a whole angry area of maybe 1 million people who don't even agree with the city at that point.
Even the cops we spoke to admitted readily the New York Police Department miscalculated badly. There never should have been a mass show of force, either on August 7th or the week before, to enforce something as simple as a curfew and the city's noise ordinance. And many individual cops acted with brutality and stupidity. But Missing Foundation was involved in this riot in more ways than one, as we'll show in the reports to follow. As one observer who knows the group put it, the riot was the ultimate Missing Foundation performance. Mike Taibbi, Channel 2 News.
I think back on the riots of 1988 and how the cops acted. That was really a horrendous moment in the history of New York. This was a bunch of crazy cops who blocked their badges with tape so you couldn't see what their number was, and then went ballistic on the people. They not only hit me, they hit yuppies, they hit everybody. Everybody got hit with it. Everybody got hit with this bloodshed. And in the end, okay, they got a lot of lawsuits against them, but if you go to the police department like I did, I just went through the system for a poster, and these people are using every foul word in the book, and they're all degrading these cops in the station there. Good luck to New York with such a police force like that. They're trashing women left and right. They're degrading women. They're degrading themselves. They're degrading all the prisoners. It's just a totally degrading place, so try not to get arrested because you'll hate every minute of it.
Yesterday evening, correspondent Mike Taibbi introduced you to the shadowy personalities of Missing Foundation. That's what they're called. This evening, Taibbi explores the group's alleged involvement in the Tomkins Square confrontation this past summer.
Beyond the accepted fact that a lot of cops acted badly on the night of August 7th, some in violation of departmental rules, investigators after the fact began probing the other side of this unseemly mess. Was the Tompkins Square Park riot planned, or at least instigated? And if so, by whom? Certainly there were hints that trouble was expected. Hours before it started, a radio station invited its listeners to come to the riot. And listen to the suggestion made to this amateur videographer, who was apparently shooting too much too soon.
Are you shooting right now? Yeah. You should save it for the riot.
I was actually going behind the cops and telling them, hey, you know, I see y'all talking about, you know, your own personal stuff, but what about somebody crazy like me that would come behind you that just totally hates cops and would just like nothing more than just take off all your heads while you was looking the other direction?
Park denizen Daniel Rockwitz admits his plan was to distract the cops, and that soon enough, the bottles and M80s started flying.
Okay, Daniel Rockwitz, I mean, that was the monster of Tompkins Square Park. That has nothing to do with Missing Foundation. They threw him in as an added effect. It's horrible what he's talking about on that film. And also, he made a horrendous crime here in the neighborhood. He's in a mental hospital. Never met the guy. Don't know who he is. And Daniel Rockwitz, okay, has nothing to do with Missing Foundation. They just found the worst elements of the neighborhood to connect with Missing Foundation because they couldn't find anything, really. We're musicians and artists, so they had to kind of dig up all the worst stuff they could find. Thank God, like, the newspapers came in my favor back on that one. Unfortunately, the public only remembers me as a hooligan running around causing trouble.
And Aaron Kays, a 60s era agitator, took a moment away from a marijuana smoke-in a few weeks ago to concede there were those who planned to take action. He wouldn't name them, but he said they did come to the park loaded for bear.
There were angry folks who shall remain unnamed that did toss bottles and M80s in anger.
In the days after the riot, investigators and other observers noted that many of the self-styled neighborhood spokesmen adorned themselves with a uniform set of symbols and anti-cop, anti-landlord, anti-yuppie slogans. The feds were involved by then, and what they saw led them to begin raising questions about the group called Missing Foundation, the authors of those same symbols and slogans, and supposedly just a rock group. Those first official questions about Missing Foundation led investigators to this basement apartment at Bowery and 6th.
We rented this place in about January. It was supposed to be, one guy was supposed to be contractor, the other guy was supposed to be artist.
The scene of destruction left behind by the apartment's occupants, David Kelly and Peter Colangelo, was extraordinary, disturbing, and in its unanswered questions, plain shocking. At first glance, it seemed to be the home base for whatever Missing Foundation was. There were the large format negatives with the symbols plastered all over town. There were the slogans, "Your house is mine," "Landlords are the scum of the earth and therefore must die." And then there were the other hints amid the rubble that something beyond mere political sloganeering had been going on in this windowless place. One wall spoke of hate, hate. Another of no pigs, dead pigs, slashed over the MF poster. Helter Skelter, the Charles Manson battle cry, was splashed across another wall. A gruesome photograph of a man impaled on a bed of nails sat astride a life-size replica of the same bed of nails. The odd bone or vial of liquid was there, pamphlets from satanic cults, a candelabra with the black and lavender candles used in the satanic black mass.
In the Cult of Rage, you'll see a point where the whole apartment's trashed. The door was left open, so the punk rockers trashed my house after I left, so they wrote Dead Pigs and Helter Skelter. Okay, they find hate and all this stuff. I'm not about hate. That's not what we were about. This is a film that's used for discrediting Missing Foundation, and it was made by the FBI and the police to do that. The unfortunate part about Taibbi is that he never listened to any of my material. He never really got the point.
The few items building owner Yuri Blanarovich still can't believe he found.
I found some skins. It looked like sort of whitish cat, or I don't know, couldn't tell what because there wasn't, anything you could identify by. And there was also a glass jar with something which looks sort of like a guts to me.
Guts, blood in it?
Yeah. And then after they demolished the place, I found that cat, which was still breathing, was very skinny, and was laying right on the front of the door.
Yeah.
And it had one side of his belly shaved.
In the Cult of Rage, they mentioned about animals shaved and about blood and guts in a jar. I don't know what that is. A lot of stuff was planted by the police and the FBI. And on top of that, one of our members was a taxidermist. That's what he did for a living. So if there were any stuffed squirrels or anything like that around, okay, he had that. That's what he did for a living.
And two highly placed police sources told us that something else was found amid the rubble of the basement flat occupied by Peter Colangelo and David Kelly, several undeveloped rolls of film. When the film was later developed, the police and then the FBI were surprised to find they were photographs taken months before the Tompkins Square Park riot. Photographs of individual cops, their color insignia, in some cases their families as well. Some of the cops were from the 9th Precinct.
That particular thing about the Cult of Rage kind of disturbed me, that they found these police photographs. Just one more thing, you know, once you're in the hands of the FBI and police, of course they can plant whatever they want. The photos are kind of a baffling confusion. We weren't targeting police. We really were just housing activists, musicians, and artists trying to survive. Really where the Cult of Rage was headed was what got cut out was day 3. They did a 3-day special, but really it was supposed to be a 5-day special. What they cut out was my logo was carved into bodies in Brooklyn, and this here was cut out of the Cult of Rage because, okay, they couldn't connect me with this murders over in Brooklyn. Somebody carved my logo into the body there. And they wanted to put this on the Cult of Rage. That was what they were building up to, was these murders. But I can't even kill a fly, you know.
We didn't know it at the time, but the David and Peter from the basement apartment at Bowery and East 6th were David Kelly, who smashes the metal, and Peter Colangelo, who wails the lyrics. David and Peter from the combat rock group Missing Foundation. Yuri Blanarovich confirmed it. Those were the tenants who smashed his basement before disappearing, owing 3 months' rent. And one of Yuri's employees confirmed that he'd told the FBI that he saw Peter and his friends doing their act from Missing Foundation, but on the streets, when the riot was about to start on August 7th.
They were coming from the First Avenue, and they were throwing the garbage cans, beer bottles on the street, onto coming cars, and they set the fire to the garbage on a corner of First Avenue, Ósma ulica? 8th Street.
The FBI's Joint Terrorist Task Force spent 3 months looking into all of the evidence, including the photographs found in that basement apartment on East 6th Street. But the feds found no interstate link. And so now the entire investigation has fallen back to the New York Police Department. One highly placed police source told us that investigation won't go anywhere. Mike Taibbi, Channel 2 News.
Even if the official investigations into Missing Foundation are expected to go nowhere, the group's presence and influence on the Lower East Side are not over. Taibbi will explore them tomorrow evening on Channel 2 News at 6 and 11.
On the week before the main riot, I was standing under this tree here, and we were playing drums. We had a drum thing going with about 20, 30 people. But then the police came up and said, everybody must stop playing your drums and you all must go home. And it was like, why? What for? What's this about? Why do we have to go home? It's a public park. And then because the people didn't get up, and the police rushed everybody under these trees here. It was the first real confrontation that happened before the initial riot a week later. And that's what triggered the whole thing. This stopping of the people from just playing drums under these trees here escalated into the street onto Avenue Way, where maybe 100 to 200 people started rioting against the police here. And that was the first skirmish. Then as it built up from people who got arrested under these trees here and were facing grand jury, one guy from Missing Foundation was arrested for hitting a cop with a metal bar, and another one was arrested for lighting fires. And so as they